Hey guys, check out my new store on Etsy called Nina's Nightly Comforts, where you can find everything from men's t-shirts to women's cozy pajama dresses, men's and women's tank tops for those warm nights, throw pillows, a warm and toasty fleece blanket for those cool fall nights that are yet to come, a mug perfect for tea, coffee, or your favorite beverage, and last but not least, a limited supply of specially handcrafted by me dream catchers to capture all of your nightmares that my creepypastas will leave you with. Everything to get you comfortable and in the right mood to listen to your favorite creepypastas. You can find the link posted below in the description and also in my community tab. And if you haven't already, remember to subscribe to keep me in your nightmares. Dex, I don't want to go to jail. You won't, I promise. Just calm down. We'll think of something, okay? I nod my head in agreement, and then after a moment of silence, he says, "Alright, so this is what we're going to do. First, I need you to find a black sheet, blanket, anything that we can cover him up with, so that anyone walking or driving past won't happen to notice him lying back here. After that, we're both going to go inside and wash this blood off of us, and then I need to go bandage the cut on my arm." He stops for a second, bends down, and pulls the knife out of the man's back. As I watch him do this, I stand there in shock, not believing how he seems so unbothered by all of it. "Sabrina, are you listening? I know you're scared, but we don't have time to be scared right now. If anybody sees us back here, we're both going to jail for the rest of our lives. So if we're going to do this, you're going to have to snap out of it." Then he hands me the knife. "I want you to go clean this. Really good. Make sure that there isn't a speck of blood on it, and then dry it off and put it right back in the same spot that you found it in the knife block. After that, we need to go dispose of the body. Do you have anywhere in mind?" I think about it for a minute, thinking to myself, I don't even know where to put my car keys without losing them half the time. And with my mind so scattered, I don't know how he expects me to know where to bury a dead body. So the first thing that pops into my head is the one place where I know dead bodies belong, the cemetery. So I just blurted out, "What about that cemetery that's only a few miles from here? It's closed for the night, but if we go down that back road behind it, we'll have to trudge through the woods for about a mile, but then we can bury him in there." That's not a bad idea. "And you're sure that they don't have cameras, a guard, or anything like that?" "Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Stephanie's uncle works there as a groundskeeper, and about a month ago I remember her saying something about kids breaking into the cemetery at night and vandalizing some of the graves, and they were never able to find out who did it because they have no security or cameras." "Okay, look, I'll stay here and keep watch while you go find something to cover him up with," Dex tells me. I start to run off, but then he stops me. "Don't run, just act normal. Oh, and we're going to need some gloves too. I think I have a pair in my car that I use for work. Grab those and then find a pair for yourself." So then I walk around to the front of the house, go inside, making sure to be careful not to get blood on anything, clean the knife and put it away, then wash my hands and head to my room to get a pair of gloves. Once I locate a pair in one of my drawers, I put them on and then head to the closet in the hallway, where I keep all of my towels, washcloths, and extra blanket sheets and pillowcases. I'm just about to pull out one of my old blankets that I've used a million times before, but then a thought crosses my mind. All of those could very well have some of my DNA on them. So instead, I pull the brand new, reversible black fur comforter that I just bought a few weeks ago out of the plastic packaging and carry it out the back door. "Here, will this work?" I ask Dex. "Yeah, that's perfect," he tells me, then reaches out to take it from me, but I pull away. "No, here, let me do it. You're not wearing any gloves." "Good call. Hey, while you were gone, I was thinking, he probably has a car parked somewhere on the street. We're going to have to find it and get rid of that too." I pick up the card that says Halloween Scares and then place it neatly back into the man's wallet and shove it into his back pants pocket. "Check his other pockets for car keys," Dex instructs me. Scared to death to even touch his lifeless corpse, but remembering what Dex said, that I don't have time to be scared, I quickly check his 2 front pants pockets, and when I find them, I sit them gently on the ground off to the side while I flap out the comforter and place it over top of the man's body. Once he's covered up, I go grab Dex's gloves from his car before walking up and down the street attempting to locate the man's car while Dex goes inside to clean up. I get almost all of the way to the end of the block when I discover a silver Honda Civic that I haven't noticed around before. So I take the man's keys and press the unlock button to see what happens. The lights flash, indicating that the doors are now unlocked and letting me know that this is definitely his car. I pull out my phone and am just about to call Dex when I think twice and decide that it's probably better if I talk to him in person. So I turn around and head back up the street. Just as I get to my house, I receive a text from Stephanie. "Where are you guys? I'm already here." As I'm walking through the door, Dex catches me in the process of texting her back. "What are you doing?" "Stephanie just texted me. She's at the party waiting for us and wants to know where we are." "I was going to text her back and tell her that I don't think we're going to make it. I'll tell her that we had a fight or something." "No, don't tell her that." "Why not?" "Because if the cops do come around asking questions, we're going to need to be each other's alibi. And if we say that we had a fight, they are probably less likely going to believe that we were together all night long. And that's exactly what we're going to tell them." "So then what should I say to Stephanie?" He reaches out and I hand him my phone. Then he starts typing a response. When he hands it back to me and asks, "How does this sound?" I read the message to myself. "Hey, so sorry I didn't text you sooner, but I changed my mind about coming to the party tonight. I thought it was going to make me feel better getting out of the house, but I've been feeling anxious thinking about it all day. I think I'm just going to stay home and watch movies instead." I nod my head at Dex and then press send. A moment later she replies, "Do you want me to come over? I don't want you to be alone." I answer, "No, it's okay. Dex is here. He's going to stay the night with me." She texts back, "Good. Well, since I'm already here, I guess I'll stay for a little while. Text me if you need anything." "Okay, I will. Talk to you later," I reply, then slide my phone into my pocket and tell Dex, "I found his car. It's at the end of the street." "Well, I think it's probably best if we use his car to transport his body. That way, none of the neighbors notice either of our cars gone. Then we can just dump the car somewhere after." "Well, how are we going to get back here?" "We'll just have to walk. It's not that far." Then he puts on his gloves and tells me, "We're going to need a shovel too, and one of us has to go drive his car and pull it into the garage so that we can get the body into the trunk without being seen. We can drag it through the house." I shake my head. "No, if I open the garage, someone is bound to hear it. Plus, if we take him through the house, we'll get blood everywhere, and that'll just be another mess to clean up. We'll have to think of something else." Well, the only other options that I can think of are to either pull into the driveway or right up to the curb in front of the house. After thinking about it for a second, I tell him, "As long as we do this really quick, then we can pull right up to the curb. And if anyone notices the car there, I'm hoping that they'll probably just assume it's a delivery driver dropping off food to somebody." "But what are we going to do about the blood in the grass?" I question, sounding a little worried. "It's supposed to rain later tonight. I think that'll wash it away." "But what if you're wrong? And another thing, what if somebody else besides me heard you scream?" "It's only a few days before Halloween, Sabrina. I could think of 1,000 things to explain hearing somebody scream. Plus, how will anyone know for certain that it was me?" "I guess you're right," I answer. "Alright, so first, I need you to help me carry him a little closer to the front of the house, and then you can walk back down the street, get the car, and drive it up." So Dex rolls out the blanket, and just as he's wrapping the man up in it, I catch another glimpse of his face, which sends shockwaves of guilt through me all over again. I start to think, did he have a wife and kids who will be waiting for him to return home tonight? I wipe a tear away just as Dex places the blanket over his face once again. Then I grab a hold of one end and try to lift him up, but after quickly realizing just how heavy he is, I decide that this will go a lot faster if I just drag him through the grass. But Dex stops me. "I know he's heavy, but we have to pick him up. If we drag him, then there's more of a chance that his body will leave some sort of DNA evidence behind, and we don't want that, now do we? I shake my head no, and then force myself to endure the pain coursing through my upper arms as I struggle to lift and then carry this man who is twice, if not 3 times my size. When we finally get close enough to the corner of the front of the house, Dex tells me, "This is good." So I drop my side of the blanket and then take a second to try and catch my breath. Then I go speed walking down the street to where the man's car is located, quickly climb into the driver's seat, and then slowly drive back up the street and stop a little ways past my house, put the car into park, and get out. After glancing around at all of my neighbors' houses, making sure that I don't see anyone looking, I help Dex put the man into the trunk. Then we both hop inside, and just as we're about to drive away, I blurt out, "Wait, I forgot the shovel." So Dex stops the car so that I can go back and grab it from the garage. The drive to the cemetery is rather quiet. I finally break the silence between us when I whisper, "Thank you." "For what?" Dex asks. "For doing this. I know that you don't have to help me." He reaches over and takes my gloved hand in his. A few minutes later, we pull onto the back road behind the cemetery and then park the car in the woods. "So where exactly are we going to bury him?" I ask. "Wherever we can find a spot that looks freshly or recently dug. That'll be the easiest," Dex replies as we get out and start trudging through the woods. When we reach the back of the cemetery, Dex helps me climb over the 3-foot stone wall, which doesn't do a very good job of keeping trespassers out, which I assume is what it's been built for. Then he passes the shovel over. I take it and wait for him. Chills run through me as we make our way through the graveyard, searching for a final resting place for the man. As we pass each headstone, a creepy feeling washes over me, like the occupant of each grave knows exactly what I've done, and they are all watching me. I move closer to Dex. "Are you okay?" he questions. "No, not really. I'm about to bury a man that I just killed in a creepy cemetery in the middle of the night," I say, glancing all around. The slight chill in the air and full moon in the dark night sky adds an eerie gloom to the already frightening surroundings. Dark gray clouds sprawl across the sky, warning of the storm that is soon to come. Finally, I breathe a sigh of relief when Dex suddenly stops and tells me, "I think this is a good spot. There's not any grass on this one. It must have been laid down not too long ago. What do you think?" "Yeah, sure, whatever. Let's just hurry this up," I answer, not wanting to be in this unbelievable situation any longer than need be. So he starts digging, and when he gets tired, I take over for a little while, and we keep switching back and forth until we finally dig a hole that we think is deep enough to hide the body in. Then we head back to the car. When we get there, Dex pops the trunk and we proceed to lift the body out of it. I struggle to help carry the body back through the woods to the cemetery. I have to stop what feels like every few minutes to take a break, catch my breath, and force back down the vomit that wants to come up, but Dex doesn't complain. When we finally make it back to the hole, Dex gives the wrapped body a slight kick and it rolls right into the grave. I stand there watching as he starts shoveling the dirt back in, trying to fill in the hole as quickly as possible. I can tell that he wants to get this done and over with so that we can get out of here just as much as I do. I just want this night to be over. Actually, better yet, I wish this night had never even happened. "Wait, did you hear that?" I suddenly whisper, causing Dex to abruptly stop what he's doing. "No, what? I didn't hear anything," he replies, as I frantically scan the cemetery. I swear that I just heard footsteps walking through the leaves, but I don't see anyone. Never mind, I guess I'm just being paranoid. My mind must be playing tricks on me. He goes back to digging while I keep a close eye on our surroundings. Just as I begin to relax a little, I catch a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye. All I can tell for sure is that it's black, and when I turn my head to get a better look at it, I gasp when I suddenly realize exactly what it is. It's one of the same dark shadows that has been following me around everywhere. Not wanting to alarm Dex, I close my eyes, and when I reopen them, thankfully it's gone. Hours later, we finally finished filling in the hole, So we make our way back to the car, double check it to make sure that we haven't left any traces of us being in there behind, and then Dex drives it deep into the woods, and we cover it up with sticks, branches, and leaves. Once we're done, it's so well concealed that you can't even tell it's there. Then we start heading back to my place. When we turn onto my street and I see my apartment, I feel like running to the front door. I don't think I've ever been happier to see it. Once we're inside, Dex tells me, "Go take a shower, and here, give me your gloves and all of your clothes." So I get undressed, hand all of my clothes to him, and go get into the shower. As soon as the hot water touches my skin, it relaxes me. But just as that feeling washes over me, everything that just happened starts rushing back, and a million emotions all start to hit me at the same time. I burst into tears at the same time as I start throwing up. A moment later, I force myself to stop crying, and then just as I rinse my face off, cut off the water, and am about to reach for my towel, I notice a dark face on the other side of the shower's distorted glass, staring right back at me. This time, I can actually make out some of its features. It has a big grin of pure satisfaction, like it knows what I did. I scream, and Dex comes running into the bathroom. What's wrong?" he questions as he yanks open the shower door. I just saw someone," I cry. He glances around the room. "Sabrina, you need to relax. There's nobody here." Once I calm down, I dry off and get dressed. It starts to rain just as Dex heads to the bathroom to hop in the shower. I stand at the front window, watching the rain fall, praying that it washes away any traces of evidence that we may have forgotten and that could possibly lead the police back to us. Just then, a rumble of thunder floods my ears, causing me to jump. I close the curtain, lock up the house, and then head to my bedroom and slide beneath the covers. Dex is going to stay the night, and although him being here makes me feel a little more at ease because I know that I'm not alone, I don't think that I'll be able to get any sleep tonight. When Dex finally gets into bed, we spend the next 2 hours going over every single detail of our alibi so that our stories match up. Then we turn off the lights and lie down to try and get some sleep. Not soon after, I hear Dex snoring, but I just continue to lie there awake, tossing and turning, staring up at the ceiling in the darkness, as everything that happened tonight keeps replaying through my mind like pieces of a movie clip. When I do finally fall asleep, I'm awakened to the sound of sobbing, and I realize that it's Dex sitting on the edge of the bed crying. I crawl across the bed and gently start to rub his back. "I'm sorry I woke you," he tells me. "It's okay." Honestly, I was starting to think that it was kind of weird that none of this was bothering you at all. "Sabrina, it's eating me up inside. I was just trying to stay strong for you." "Here, come back to bed," I tell him. When he lies back down, I hold him in my arms, gently rubbing his head until we both fall back to sleep. Then later that night, I have a horrifying nightmare. It feels like I'm still awake, but I can't actually tell if I am or not. Everything looks and seems so real. I'm lying in my bed, and everything in my bedroom looks just like it does on a daily basis, except for the large black mass that I see lurking in the corner behind the door. And I know that whatever it is, it's not supposed to be there. Its skin appears to be slimy like a serpent. It makes a sticky sound every time that it moves. And it has sharp dagger-like claws, veiny black skin-like wings, and horns. But none of those things are what makes it look so frightening. The most terrifying thing it possesses are its eyes. They are white, with a tiny red pupil in the middle that seems to glow in the darkness. And the way that this thing is staring at me sends shivers up and down my entire body. But as hard as I try to move, I can't. I want more than anything to jump up and scream so that Dex will wake up and save me and tell me that all of this is just a bad nightmare. But I'm frozen there. I stare it in the eyes for as long as I can muster up the bravery to do so. And then, when it whispers my name in that same creepy voice as the one I heard on the phone, I look away. And that's when it comes charging at me and scratches me on the stomach. I wake up screaming as tears stream from my eyes. When Dex hears me, he bolts upright in shock and holds me in his arms until I manage to stop crying and screaming. "What in the hell was that all about?" he asks, when I finally calm down slightly. I lift my shirt and show him the scratches. "Damn, Sabrina, you must have scratched yourself in your sleep." "No, it wasn't me. I didn't do this. I saw something." Just as those words leave my lips, suddenly the bedroom door forcefully slams shut. Dex leaps up and puts on his shirt. "You stay here." "No, please come back. Don't leave me alone," I beg, but he's already gone. I crawl back under the covers and pull them all the way up to my face so that only from my eyes up are showing. Then, barely able to breathe, I wait for Dex to return. And when he finally walks through the door, I breathe a sigh of relief as he tells me, "It's the weirdest thing. There was nobody out there, and all of the doors and windows were still locked. See, I told you, it's a ghost. I think that there's some kind of evil spirit, entity, or whatever you want to call it, and it's after me. It wants to hurt me just like it did to Rocco. We should have listened to him. He was right all along. It followed us home that night from the haunted house. I just know it." A strange feeling washed over me as we were driving away that night, and that's when I saw the dark shadow for the first time. It was standing there in the parking lot watching us as we drove away. I think it was trying to scare me to the point that it knew what was going to happen when that man showed up, because the next time that I saw it was when we were at the cemetery burying him. And then again in the bathroom. That's when I got a better look at its face, and it had the biggest grin, like it had just accomplished something and got exactly what it wanted. And I'm 1,000% sure that it's the same thing that put these scratches on me too. If you are right, and I'm not saying that you are, but if you are, what in the hell are we supposed to do to stop it? I shrug my shoulders, but then after a moment of thinking about it, I tell Dex, "You know what? I think I have an idea. I'm not sure how to do it, so we would have to do some research first, but maybe if we do a house cleansing, that'll get rid of the evil spirit." Dex agrees to give it a try, so he looks up some videos on YouTube on how to perform a house cleansing, while I research some things on Google. Once we found the information we need, I order a sage kit and pay extra for shipping so that it's guaranteed to be delivered the very next day. The following afternoon, once the delivery man drops it off at the front door, Dex and I get started with the cleansing right away. First, I open up the kit and take all of the materials out and then place them on the dining room table. Then I open a window in both the living room and kitchen, because not only does the smoke need to have somewhere to go, but so does all of the negativity that we hope to dispel from the house. Then I light the sage, let it burn for about 20 seconds before gently blowing out the flame, and watch as the smoke goes billowing up into the air and all throughout the room. Then I slowly walk through each room of the house, repeating the same phrase. I let go and release any evil within this home, allowing the smoke to waft around, and then using the feather that the kit came with to help push the smoke all around to every corner of each room. Once we finished, I extinguished the sage smudge stick until there is no longer any smoke rising from the tip. Immediately, I start to feel a little lighter, like maybe this actually worked. And that feeling lasts for the next few days. I don't get any more strange calls or catch glimpses of any more dark shadows. It's like they just all of a sudden disappeared. I almost forget about the fact that I just killed an innocent man only days ago. But then, just like that, everything changes. I become paranoid and anxious all over again. Every time I see a police car or hear their sirens, I burst into tears, thinking that they must be coming to arrest me. I start accusing Dex of trying to sabotage me. For some reason, I seem to think that he's trying to set me up and that he told the police what I did. Then, on Halloween, Dex stops by. He says that he came to check up on me, but I'm not so sure. I grab a knife from the kitchen and start waving it through the air as I accuse him. "I know you've been talking to the cops. You want me to go to jail. That way you and Stephanie can be together. That's what you want, isn't it?" "Stephanie? What in the hell are you talking about, Sabrina? The last time we were all together, I saw the way that you were looking at her. You want me to sit in a jail cell and rot so that you two can live your lives together. Just as I try to stab him, he grabs my hand and shoves me up against the wall, causing the knife to fall to the ground. Sabrina, will you listen to yourself? You sound crazy. I don't think that the cleansing worked. The evil may have left this house, but it's apparent that there's something still wrong with you. When I look into your eyes, I don't see you anymore. I see something cold and evil staring back at me. You're not yourself. We have to try something else. Hearing those words, I snap out of the crazed state that I was in and reply, I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening to me. What if we go back to the haunted house? We could convince Brianna and Stephanie to come too. I think that we'll be stronger with the four of us all there. And what exactly do you expect to do once we get there? Dex questions. I can sense that he's obviously not sure if what I'm saying is such a good idea. We can confront the entity. I think that's the only way we're going to get any answers. I don't know, Sabrina. That sounds dangerous. What if all we end up doing is piss it off? We have to try, Dex. I can't think of any other way. Finally, after some coaxing, he agrees, and then I contact both Brianna and Stephanie and ask the two of them to come over because it's urgent that I speak to both of them right away. Brianna arrives 15 minutes later, and Stephanie shows up soon after that. Once everyone is together, I explain what I think is going on, and then wait for them to respond to what I've said, fully expecting them to laugh in my face and call me crazy. But that's not what happens. Brianna tells me, I think you're right, Sabrina. I didn't want to say anything, but I've been seeing things too. Unexplainable things, just like those dark shadows that you described. And then Stephanie replies, well, I have been feeling kind of strange ever since the night that Rocco died, which was the same night that we went on that haunted hayride. And when I went to the party the other night, I saw something there. It was a dark figure, and it appeared to be watching me. Every time that I looked over at it, it seemed like it was getting closer. It gave me such a terrible feeling that finally I just had to leave. Look, I know that this sounds crazy, and if you guys don't want to do it, I'll completely understand. But Dex and I have decided to go back to the haunted house. For what? Brianna asks. We're hoping that we can figure out what has attached itself to us and why. Sure, I guess I'll come, Stephanie says, without any argument at all. Brianna, on the other hand, has a lot to say. I don't know if that's such a good idea. What if one of us gets attacked, just like Rocco did? I don't think I can go back there. It's okay, you don't have to go. Nobody's forcing you to. But if you change your mind, we are going to go there tonight after it's closed. Finally, later that night, Dex and I head out to the haunted house for the second time. We meet Stephanie there, and when she pulls into the empty parking lot, I'm shocked to see Brianna sitting in the passenger seat. I smile and tell her, I'm glad that you decided to come. Yeah, me too. I just hope that I don't end up regretting it. As we approach the entrance, Brianna grabs a hold of my hand. Memories from the first time we came here with Rocco start flashing through my mind. Dex busts the lock and then pries the doors open with a crowbar, and just like before, once they slam closed behind us, a booming echo resonates all around us. I can feel Brianna nearly jump out of her skin as she clings to me. Dex takes the lead and is walking in front of us, while Stephanie is behind us. Although, by the way that she keeps stepping on the back of my ankles, I can tell that she's not too far behind. We slowly make our way down the long hallway that leads into the first room. When we walk through the door, whispers flood my ears, and the lights begin to flicker. Then a cold chill fills the air. Who are you? I scream. When I get no reply or sign of some sort, I ask instead, what do you want from us? But still, there's nothing. Come on, Dex tells me, as he starts making his way to the next room. We walk through the black curtain-like door into the next room that is decorated to look like a little girl's bedroom. It looks exactly the same way that it did when we came here for the very first time. The same pink canopy bed is still sitting in front of the make-believe window, and there are broken toys strewn all across the floor. We don't want to make you angry. We just want answers. Please, tell us why you followed us out of here. Is there something that you want? Just as I start to think that maybe we wasted our time coming back here, suddenly a man's voice calls my name in a deep whisper.
Sabrina.
And only after hearing it for a second time do I realize that it sounds a lot like the same voice as I heard in my nightmare the other night. Dex pulls me closer as I continue to question this entity, or whatever it is. But when I still get no response, it angers Dex, and then out of nowhere he screams, "Look, you asshole, just stay the hell away from us." And then he grabs me by the hand and starts dragging me out of there and back outside. But just as we make it to the door, it slams closed right on his hand, crushing it, and as he stands there on the other side of the door, banging and shouting my name, Stephanie and Brianna start screaming, and I hurry back over and huddle with them in a corner. The whispers get louder, and then Brianna says, "You're squeezing me too tight. You're hurting my wrist." Stephanie and I look at her, and both of us tell her that we aren't touching her. Her eyes grow big and wide as she glances down at her wrist, and then suddenly she gets ripped away into the darkness, and the door on the other side of the room slams closed. Stephanie and I rush over and try to open it, but we can't, and all we can hear are her blood-curdling screams coming from the other side. As I continue pounding on the door, I realize that now Stephanie has stopped, and she's staring down the hallway. "What in the hell is that?" she asks, and then goes running back to the other door, where Dex is trapped on the other side. She starts screaming, "Let me out! Please, it's coming! It's getting closer! Open the door!" Dex screams in agony, "I can't open it! My hand is stuck inside!" And just then, Stephanie looks back down the empty hallway, which makes me look too, but I don't see anything there. Then all of a sudden she says, "No, no, no, I can't let it get me." And then she goes running across the room and races up a set of stairs that I hadn't noticed before. I dart after her, and just as I get halfway up the stairs, I hear her shriek, and then she comes tumbling back down them. I catch her body so that she doesn't go tumbling down all the way to the bottom, and check to make sure that she's okay. She's a little dazed, but when she comes to, she starts screaming, "Ow, ow, my arm!" I look down and see that it's twisted behind her back, obviously broken from the fall. She screams in agony and joins the collective screams of Dex and Brianna. Right then, I decide that I've had enough and that I have to stand up to this thing and face it. I start shouting, "You can hurt me, but please just leave them alone." Then I go stomping up the stairs. Once I reach the top, I see a door across the room, and as I scream, "What do you want?" it slowly starts to creak open. A malevolent feeling comes over me, knowing that something evil is lurking on the other side. My fight or flight instincts kick in, knowing that I can't get away and that I'm going to have to fight. So I kick the door wide open, and my eyes come to rest on a large dark mass with the same crazed smirk and ominous glare as the one that I saw when I was in my bathroom. It opens its mouth and says,
"Your soul."
And just that fast, my fight instincts turn to flight, and I jump back in alarm, which causes me to lose my footing, and I go flying over the banister. The next thing I know, I see the doors that my friends were trapped behind open, and they all come running toward me, even Stephanie with her broken arm. But that's when I realize the odd sensation of looking down at my own body laying there, as they all surround me, crying. As Dex cradles me in his arms, the whispering starts back up again, and once they hear it, they all get scared and are just about to run off. But then Dex tells them, "No, we can't leave her." So they start to drag my body out of the house, and I try to follow them, but for some reason, I just can't get past the doorway. And that's when I realize that I'm not just having an out-of-body experience. I'm actually dead, and now my soul is trapped here. The last thing I remember after all of that is watching Dex and my friends talking to the police, and then the coroner comes and takes my body away. And now, I try to do whatever I can to warn others not to come inside so that they don't suffer the same horrible fate that I did. But it's hard to keep people away, especially when they turn this place into a haunted house every October for Halloween. I used to love Halloween, but now knowing what's here and what people are risking just for a little scare, now whenever October rolls around, I dread what is to come. Don't forget to subscribe for new stories weekly. See you next time on
Nina's Nightmares.
Really? You're supposed to click the like button, not me. Ugh.